And welcome back. This is Amka Kenya, and today we are asking one simple question. What is your take on government threats to arrest former DP Rigathi Gachagua upon his return? What is your take on government threats to arrest former DP Rigathi Gachagua upon his return? Now we have some feedback from you guys watching us back at home. John Karaoke from Kiambu says, this could set a dangerous precedents where political differences lead to legal harassment. Thank you so much, John Karaoke from Kiambu. We also have Sarah Njeri from Nyeri. She says, if the government has genuine charges, let them be tabled in court instead of issuing threats in the media. Sarah Njeri from Nyeri with her sentiments over there. Remy, I want to throw it back to you guys up home. Kiwana Michael Ogwanda.
Definitely. Alan.
Yes.
So, there's still a lot of headlines on these days of ours, but one of the things that we're highlighting, Michael, is the Nairobi County that owes 4 lawyers 6.3 billion shillings in fees. Now, the story here says most of the court cases relate to disputes of unpaid claims for goods, works, services completed by contractors. And we have a picture there of Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. That is on page 2. Now, this story states that the Nairobi County owes 4 advocates a whopping 6.3 billion shillings, a new report shows. The money represents 29% of the total pending legal fee of 21.4 billion shillings, which further represents 11% of the total county executive's pending bills that the county owes various lawyers. Now, it continues to say, the report of the Auditor General, Nancy Gathungu, regretted that most of the court cases related to issues such as disputes of unpaid claims of goods, works, services completed by contractors, and procedural termination of employment contracts, irregular procurement processes, and poor contract management. Now, this is very alarming, to say the least. What are your thoughts, Michael?
It's very, very unfortunate that we're talking about 6.3 billion money owed to the lawyers alone. We're not talking about money owes the pending bill that we're talking about. And as you rightfully said, 21% of the pending bills, which is about 21 billion. Remember, the own revenue collection in Nairobi is about 20 billion. But what they end up collecting every year is about 14 billion. That means it's a deficit of 6 billion. Yeah. In other words, Alan, let me break it down for you. When you go to do your tender at Nairobi County, if you fall under the 6 billion that will not have been collected, remember, in the budget, it is there as the money they are expecting to collect. But when you fall under the 6 billion, every single year, they'll be having about 6 billion not paid to their suppliers. Yeah. That means you could have built a classroom, you could have supplied computers, but if you fall under the 6 billion that is not going to be collected from their appropriated collection, on-source collection, you will not be paid. Hence the reason why we're having over 21 billion, more than what they're budgeting to receive or to collect in a year. We're having issues. We cannot be appropriating a budget on expected income while we know very well that our income is 14 billion, but we are giving tenders and projects worth 20 billion when we know very clearly that the 4 billion will not be collected. Yeah. These are Kenyans who are borrowing money. These are Kenyans who are working so hard to build those classrooms, to build the roads, and then you don't pay them for that 1 year. And God forbid that it's getting into an election time, and then it crosses over to the next governor, for example. You will not be paid because the governor comes in, even though previously working for government has been the best thing possible to do, because you're sure that the government will be there, and even if one individual, a leader, leaves, another leader will come up and finish. But what we are seeing in practice is all the governors that come in, They come in with their own projects, and they say, well, that was not my project. I also have my own project to develop the county. The members of parliament coming in, they leave buildings that were built halfway by the former member of parliament, and then they say, but I have to start my own projects. This has to stop. We are having a government, not individuals. When you're dealing with government, we need to look at all these debts and pay them in time, because if you don't pay them, most of these things are accruing based on interest. We've been following this loan. Maybe it was just about 300 million. And now over the years, the judge puts interest on it and it just goes. And, how long are we going to do this when we cannot plan, when we cannot put our foot down and say, public debt must be paid, and individuals' debt must be paid, and on time. We must bring a law that can cap this.
Do you think the argument for a very long time, especially when you're looking at this issue pertaining to the 6.3 billion that is owed to lawyers, the argument has always been, why does the county not have employed lawyers in the county government? And this, they say, could actually solve this, so that whenever we're having court cases, you don't outsource for lawyers, because this is now the avenue, the loophole that comes in to actually misappropriate these funds. Do you think that is the right way to go, that the county should employ these lawyers and have them on a payroll right there at the county offices? You
see, it's an argument that we've had. And I do consultancy out there, and I also do HR consultancy. That means I hire for various organizations, corporations, and government institutions as well. There is a notion, and I've hired for what we call legal officers or what we call legal directors, and these are highly qualified individuals. There is a perception that once you get into a company as a legal advisor, you become legal advisor and less of litigation. And then when it comes to serious litigation, you'd rather hire outside, because you're looking at the lawyer that the client has hired. And he might be of high repute, a great law firm,
so it's a mindset thing.
So many cases, mindset. And then you're looking at this guy that you just employed the other day. He's not been in public limelight. He's not been litigating as much. And then you say, no. If we give this guy the case, we're going to lose. And remember, some of them are advocate of the high courts. They actually represent the company. But you're looking at how many cases this guy has won vis-a-vis and how old he's been, whether he's a senior counsel. And then this young man coming in to litigate on cases of about $1 billion or 500 million, and you're seeing this guy is not even worth that much money, a drop of that much money. So this one we're going to lose. So let's look for another lawyer outside. But it's also a conduit of siphoning money with the advocates. We've seen cases where an advocate appears for some of these parastatals, and within a short time he gives you a bill of 400, 600 million, and you're wondering, how did this come about? There are laws to that governs the advocate's fee, but again, it can be hugely manipulated. It can be hugely abused, and we've seen those cases. We've seen how IBC has been putting billions and billions on their lawyers, and you're wondering, but if you're going to do a credible election, accountable election, then why must you invest in this money for legal fee? It means that you are setting yourself for loopholes, and then, of course, the same lawyers, you'll see when IBC is hiring lawyers, the same lawyers. So this sometimes is a collusion that you'll not understand.
So are we hiring star power? What are we hiring exactly? Because you said something very key. The ones who are got in to join the company are not also put into the aspect of the litigation part. So if you're a star lawyer and I'm coming to hire your services, I'm also hiring the star power and not necessarily what I believe you can actually do.
Correct. Because when you look at these lawyers, when it's charging, for example, let me just give you the star lawyer, when it's charging 400 million, for example, okay? And you're taking a guy who's earning 200,000. He's a legal officer. This guy wants 400 million, and you're earning 100,000, and you're looking at what he's going to get when he wins a case. I mean, you know that you're up for a task that perhaps way below your belt, and that's what we're saying. And some of them are very junior, advocates. I'm not saying that if you're junior, you're not brilliant, but there's a lot of intimidation also in the judiciary here. The legal, the senior counsels, when they speak, there's a bit of respect, and you're looking at that. And again, when you're working, it doesn't give you a array of experience like the star lawyers that are out there. So that's why in most cases they say, let's go hire another lawyer. But that lawyer will say, if that guy is charging 400 million, is looking for 400 million, well, I'm going to charge you about 100 million for it, because he's also looking at the weight of the case, and he charges the client, who is the county, based on the weight of the case. Okay. And that's why sometimes the fees are higher.
Makes sense. Well, we still have other updates here. Let's move on to page 6 of the People Daily right there. Statutory deductions to be made at source in counties. The move is aimed at curbing non-remittance of levies by county governments. Now, Michael, when you're looking at this issue, especially for public servants, very serious concern. You find that those statutory deductions are usually not remitted in time. They go and accrue over time, and this actually makes retirees suffer in the long run. Now, Mbadi has come up and is proposing a new system that is just about to be rolled out, that they're going to do this on source. The question here is, this doesn't change that counties are still experiencing delayed disbursements. Literally, I'd say about 43 counties cannot even achieve their own source revenue targets. So when you're looking at the Treasury wanting to roll out this new system and deduct this at source, but yet again, you're having the counties still grappling with these financial issues. So where does these two issues meet?
Long overdue. This is long overdue. I like that Mbadi is having this discussion.
Yeah.
Because it's a discussion that must be had and must be done and must be concluded and must be implemented. All right? Done, concluded, and implemented. The question that I am asking myself is, how is it going to be done? Yeah. Because it's the same. You send money to the county, disbursement, and then the county prepares a payroll. Once they prepare this payroll, they decide to pay their workers minus the statutory deduction. Then they decide that this is too sweet. We still don't have money. Remy, we need to use this money. And then when money comes, we'll replenish this. And then they realize that that money that is supposed to be disbursed from the National Treasury is not being disbursed on time. So they're waiting for that money that is not being disbursed on time to take care of the statutory deduction that they are deducted and used. And so the question is, when you want to deduct this money from source, are you going to deduct it from National Treasury? That sometimes also delay on the disbursement. You understand? Now, I like that idea that it should be put into law and it should be done. It's not that, not just the civil servant, even private sector. I am an employer. And by the way, I'm very, very diligent in ensuring that my employees' statutory deduction are taken care of, because I know the consequences. And they rain hard on the private investors, by the way, when you don't pay those statutory deductions. But the government, they seem to be relaxed. They need to be what we call an individual responsibility. For example, if you want this to work, make sure that the CFO, Chief Finance Officer, is liable for charges if he delays even for a week. If he's liable. And make sure that in the case of the county, make sure that the county governor is also liable as an individual if this thing is not done. Because this is a joke that is done by the executive, or whatever you call the executive. They collude and say, look, CFO says this is money that we have, say, 100 million for statutory deduction. But we've not paid this tender, so and so. And then the governor says, oh, that's what you think. How about we pay him so that we wait for the other money and then we can take care of this statutory deduction. Now, what happens in that, as I conclude on that? No, just another. Is that, let's say, NHIF or SHA. So a guy, the county government has not paid their SHA or the insurance for that reason. And then you go to the hospital and you're told, oh, your county government have not submitted your SHA, so we cannot treat you. And at that time, you have a sick person that need to be taken care of. This should roll down to an individual responsibility. When you put it to an individual responsibility, people will fear to go to jail, and you'll not joke with them. If you don't pay this, within 10 days, we are taking you to jail. And if every CFO knows that this is going to happen, and every governor knows, they will not play with statutory deductions.
Would it make sense for it to be done? Because, we're involving two entities here, the national government and the county government. Money has to be sent there for them to prepare the payroll, then it's sent back again. Would it make sense for it to be done from the national treasury so that the money is sent short of those deductions to the counties?
It is possible,
Yeah.
but remember,
Yeah.
they do not control the payroll. The payroll is controlled by the people on the ground at the county level. And these are employments that could change every single day.
Yeah.
Some people will be dead. They're the people who know who died and who has retired. You know, the National Treasury does not have that information until they submit
it's an
it.
issue coming from there, though.
It might come from there, but what we are saying is as long as people are paid, that means money had already been sent.
Okay. All right.
Fair.
Fair enough, fair point. Well, just as we wind down before I throw this to MK, let's also look at something just quickly here, and it's on page 7 of the People Daily, touching on political silence in Raila backyard confounds all. I mean, Michael, you're looking at this calm that especially is existent in the Luo Nyanza region, and people are not necessarily pronouncing themselves as much as they used to do in the past. And Raila has also confirmed reiterated his support for William Ruto. What do you think this reads into? What is at play here? Is it out of fear? Is it timing? What are we looking at?
When you have a still water, it might not mean that there's no danger in it. Mm-hmm. When you have a quiet and calm environment, it might not take the depth of that water. You might think that it is very okay and it is calm, but it could be boiling from inside.
Yeah.
The quietness, the silence in the Luo land, and not just the Luo land, we're also seeing a bit of Western coming up. There could be something simmering, something really boiling. As to whether it is in respect of Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga or just a political tonation to go down a little bit, it is just a matter of time before we see what is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, supporting William Somaya Ruto, he has said, and he said that he's going to support William Somaya Ruto. But I've reiterated this several times, and I've said, look, he has not said that I will support you in 2027 general election. Yeah. He says, I will support you. I will support you. But he has not said that you're my candidate in 2027. Raila is a politician animal. And let me tell you what, when it reaches 2027 and he has decided that he's supporting Ruto, he will say. And if he decides that he will support somebody else, he will say. But I don't think Raila is going to be quiet in 2027 where he will not say, this is the person I want to support. As to whether people will support him, and more so, Remy's Gen Z group, you know, as to whether they will follow.
She's Gen Z.
Miss K Gen Z group, as to whether Miss K's Gen Z group will decide that they will follow Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Pointer at that time, we are yet to see. But that, simmering quietness and calmness is profound and deep in the sense that people are waiting for direction. I think that, and I don't think they will follow it blindly. We are having a generation that is not going to follow direction blindly. If it is done well, perhaps it will work. If not, we'll probably see something else.
All right.
All right, and speaking of Gen Zs, we are very keen on AI, and there's a story on People Daily, page 14. It reads, graduates encouraged to tap opportunities emanating from AI growth. Now, experts say they maintain that AI has been embraced across nearly all sectors, right from agriculture to health and manufacturing, thanks to its ability to simplify and enhance operations. And it is against this backdrop that stakeholders are encouraging the youth, particularly university graduates, to adopt AI-driven innovations. Now, Mr. Ogwanda, Alan, Remy, Agwanda, sorry. I have friends to Lisoma now communications, but they're now, using AI tools to become social media strategists at home, sales and marketing specialists, wameji employ. And we saw the other day, the Ministry of ICT launched the Kenya Artificial Intelligence Strategy 2025-2030. Mr. Agwanda, I would like to know what you think about this. Should the Kenyan youth align themselves with this strategy by the government, or should fully go solo, wajitegemee tu, and go ham on AI and creating jobs for themselves.
Go ham.
Go ham. Yeah.
Well, I consult on communication, and I think I was in Machakos last week, and I was presenting a report on communication strategy and communication policy for this parastatal. Yeah. And one of the things that we actually touched on is AI, and we realized that AI is becoming part of us. As a government, I think AI has not been adopted. As an institutions, higher institutions of learning, we still have the old professors that want to go old way and also make sure that you write things and make sure that it has to be marked in handwritten. Yeah. It has to be like your own idea. I don't mind about having your own idea, but remember that a lot of things that AI has put out there were done by some of these professors. And something they forget that it was them who actually contributed into the AI, that somebody sat down and brought all these ideas together. This is a generation that you must use AI, you must use ChatGPT, and you must also be able to not just leverage on the wealth of knowledge that AI is bringing on board, and the government should use it, because if the government doesn't use it, that's why they will have issues, because people are having information before the government have the information. Okay. Whatever they've done, suddenly they realize, people have it, and they're wondering, but what has happened? It's by a click of the button, and now you know what is happening globally. Yeah. AI must be used, and I want to implore a government education system that they must start teaching AI now, because if they don't, they're running into a problem where the professors and the lecturers and high school teachers have no idea what AI is, and their students are coming to class and talking to them about AI, and they will realize that their students will be way ahead of them, and then they will have issues of, you think you know better, you think you have equipments or phones, now you can know, but they're not going to come in an exam. When people talk to you like that, and you're doing the right thing, because you're in that generation, then you're wondering, am I doing the right thing or not? So I really think that our teachers, just like CBC or CBE now, most teachers are being taken, even in high school, and we have professors now being taken back into training of CBC. I think our teachers must also engage, and professors must also be engaged on AI, so that when the students are talking about AI, they're in tandem with them. Otherwise, this old way of doing research is ending.
All right, let's see what else is making headlines. Have a look at the Standard right there. What is on the front page of the Standard? Ruto Messiah Games. Just details of what President William Ruto has been able to pronounce himself on in the previous years, and actually changed or taken a different turn from education to ID application fee to the fuel prices. When he came in, scrapped off the subsidy and actually saw the fuel price rise. Then it came back down after having different negotiations. So they're talking about those issues on the Standard. That's a page, you can get on the Standard. They've not indicated the page right there. Let's move to the Daily Nation. How 6 people escaped tragedy in ill-fated bus. This comes in the wake of the National Police Service just rolling out heightened sort of investigations to see to it that they look at what is affecting people in the country and causing all these deaths on our roads, extorting fat bribes from jobless youth. There's also a story right there. Michael, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Just as you give your closing remarks in under 20 seconds, what do you think is the solution to this issue on the road accidents that we've been having? More than 50 deaths in less than 4 days, rather.
Right.
20 seconds.
First of all, let's disagree. Yes. We are not having cops out there, police officers, to manage the roads. They are taking bribes. Yeah. And let's stop this. For heaven's sake, this will help. You can drive with a taillight, no taillight. You can drive there, and the cops with the overloaded bus, whatever it is, and the cop will just stop. They don't even look at the bus anymore. Okay. They just take the bribe and they go. And some of these guys are also intoxicated. Some of these drivers are also drinking, and we need to check on that, honestly.